Right, hello, welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. I've been sick the past week or so. I am feeling better, but still not 100%. But yesterday we got some touch detection working for our D-pad here and with the proper scaling. So this works on the phone build when it resizes the screen. Touching any one of these parts does in fact light up. Now the issue is that if we held left, for example, and then pressed A, the left red button here stops being highlighted once there's another second touch. And I think that's because we're storing the mouse position into a mouse X and mouse Y variable. And whenever we have a touch on the screen, we're assigning that X and Y into that global variable. So I think since we only have one value for the X and Y, that just gets overwritten with any subsequent touch. So we need a way to basically ensure that we can continue to draw or continue to render the button press while there's another press going on. So like as long as the button is currently held, to always render it being pressed, and also render the second touch as well. So I think we need to figure that out. So today we'll probably be adding the buttons for A and B here, and maybe select and start to, and then worry about multi-input handling for the touch detection. So let's get going here. I know we did make a touch object, a touch class here. I forget what it's called. Detect touch detection. Yeah, so we do have, oh, see, yeah, this is jacked up because we're comparing it to those global mouse X and Y value, which if there's multiple touches, these need to be multiple values that get checked. So we might need to place them in, like I originally thought, into the object itself. Yeah, so it's like we need to loop through all the touches and update every touch's self mouse X, mouse Y. Oh, I guess, I mean, yeah, see, this is kind of what we want, where we're putting it into the self mouse X and Y, but we need to pull this not from the global mouse X and Y, but from being updated. I don't know how exactly this will work, but we have to figure this out. Okay. So let's take a look in our main class here. Let's see how we're pulling these values. Right here. Okay. Yeah, this is messed up. So we need to be able to pull in multiple touches, right? So ideally there's probably only 2 touches allowed at once. Well, I don't know. Yeah. What we're doing is we're doing a get touches, right? We're saying touches gets all of our touches. We're cycling through all those touches and saving into mouse X and Y variables. So I think right here, instead of assigning this get position into the global mouse X and mouse Y variables, we need to update the position of the self mouse X and self mouse Y of each touch, as long as they're being touched. So like, yeah, let's say that there's 2 touches at a given time. We need to cycle through those touches and then go to each of those touches and move its self mouse XY and mouse X. So we do have the position. We say get position of that ID and go ahead and assign it to a mouse X, mouse Y. Gosh, and then we have to also do this. This is what we did yesterday to actually get the right scaling, because with the virtual resolution that we're resizing the image, the game to, we need to be able to resize the touch quadrants once we touch it. So we have to use this push to game to get the mouse position properly scaled. And then we have to catch if it's nil so we don't accidentally screw it up. And then we modify it by its scale factor. This is crazy. Okay. Okay. So I think the first thing I want to do is take a peek at our touch detection class and see if I'm missing anything. Let's see, we do have a mouse X and a mouse Y to the self. And then in our update, see, this is jacked up. We don't want to update. Ideally, we want to be able to pass in the new values so that we can update. Okay, so I think we can leave this as global if we treat every touch as these variables and then kind of reassign it for every touch. So we do say, okay, we have this global mouse X, mouse Y from each position. Then we want to update the ID, right? So we say ID gets update. Now update will put into the self mouse X and self Y whatever this X and Y is. So it should update the touch there. Now, as long as we render based on the self mouse X, we shouldn't run into many issues here. I think we have to find touch detection. What is it? Touch. We are rendering at... Okay. So we do... Yeah, we want to render not where the mouse is, but where the thing currently is if we're pressed. So where are we saying is it pressed? If we collide with one of the D-pad. So like the D-pad is a table. D-pad is a table that has all of the touch detection objects. So that's where all of our touch detection object instantiations are. They're just in a big old table there. And then what we're doing is we're saying, okay, for every one of the touch objects we have, if there is something being pressed, we're going to go ahead and update those things, which we are technically doing it here. I feel like we need to do... See, this is where it gets messed up, because once we update every object will have the same self mouse X and Y, because anytime we run update, all that's happening is the 2 lines of code that are in here, which is take from our global variables and assign it into the self. So every self mouse X and Y will get set incorrectly here. So I think we only want to update them if there is a touch, right? Because we need to update. I guess let's think through what we need to update here, because it's like we update whether or not the touch is colliding with the touch object, right? So like, hey, we have a touch. Let's go ahead and put that touch into... See, this is jacked up because we don't want... This is jacked up because we don't want to put all... I don't know how to do this. If touches gives us all of our touches, I'm curious what the touches actually is. It has to be an X and Y of some sort. We know there's at least an X and Y because we're pulling that out of the ID of touches. So that's the value in that table. And then, yeah, let me think this through, because whenever something is pressed, we need to see if that touch is colliding with any of the touch objects, right? So we can say, okay, we're going to say get the touch ID, save it into mouse X. We probably want touch X, touch Y, so that we don't have conflicting globals here with our mouse click position. But also, since we're not developing on mobile right now, we're doing it based on the mouse position, which makes sense for development, I guess. So okay, so at the end of this, we have a table of all our touches, and then we're going to go through all of the current touches, and we're going to say all we're going to do is update that touch, every touch. And we update it. What that's going to do is take these two values from the given X and Y, which for different touches will have different values, and then we update into the self.mouseX, self.mousey. So every touch would have a different mouse X and mouse Y at this point. And then we're going to say push to game. What are we actually doing here? We're saying take this mouse X and mouse Y and push to game, which is basically taking the mouse X and mouse Y of our virtual resolution and modifying it to what push is actually giving us and storing it into these globals again, which is very bad. Then we're checking if it's nil, and then we're actually converting it to our scale factor. Jesus, okay. So what do we do with our mouse X and mouse Y at this point? Are we rendering the touches? We do render everything in the D-pad, which is all of our touch detection objects, and we don't use mouse X and mouse Y there. So I'm kind of thinking, at this point, does this even do anything for us? Because we're not checking. Oh yeah, we have to update the mouse X to see if it collides, but let's see what our collides function is. Yeah, okay, so our collides does use the mouse X and mouse Y, but what it should do is use the self mouse X and self mouse Y. So like the position of the touch, not the global variable here. So I think we need this. Now it's tough to test because I don't have two mouse clicks I can do for this. I don't like that we do this, but this technically does work. The other thing we would, the only other thing we can do is instead of updating it, we can just assign it once we get it, which is like right here. We say, okay, we pull the ID, and then instead of updating it with the update function, we would go into the ID mouse X and say, okay, well, that mouse X would get the mouse X that's global here, just because I don't want those globals dangling around in different files, So say take that global, put it into the mouse X and into the mouse Y of the ID of touches, and every ID of touches is a touch detection object that has a field of self mouse X and mouse Y. Mouse X, mouse Y, yep, okay. So every frame we're going to get all of our touches. We're going to loop through those touches and get the position of each touch. We're going to assign into each object the position of that touch into the mouse X and Y. So this will update over time, and then we need to check this is where I think I'm most confused here, is where we have to translate the mouse positions from the virtual resolution. So we're saying take the global mouse X, and I feel like we might need to do this on a per touch basis. Hey Magnetonics, what's up? I'm feeling better. I'm not 100. I still got crazy allergies and my throat doesn't feel so great, but definitely better. I'm over the worst of it for sure. Okay. So we need to basically update this mouse X and Y by the scale factors so that we can appropriately check collision. Right now, this is only doing it for one mouse X, so I think we need to do this for each of our touches. So if we were to go and say, can we do ID mouses X and ID mouses Y is what we assign. This is weird, right? We're saying push to game, which is just a method that takes in 2 coordinates and it translates those coordinates to our resized virtual resolution. So whatever, if we happen to be, the game will run at different resolutions depending on people's screen size. It's good, Magnetonics. We're working on, it'll probably crash because I'm changing stuff, but we're trying to work on, see, I'm not getting the stuff rendering, the button presses rendering. We're getting the, I'm trying to get touches rendering the buttons. We had it working. It's just that if you touch more than one spot, it would only prioritize the last spot you touched. So I'm trying to render, if you press down and up, technically it should register both touches. Now, whether or not it does anything is something different, but we need to be able to hold 2 different touches being held at the same time so that you can walk left and hit A, for example, at the same time. So I think we need to go, I think we need to pull in, oh hey, I'm getting mixed up. Get position ID. Okay, no, this is okay. We need the mouse X and mouse Y because that's what we're going to give to our game function. Then the touch gets populated with the self mouse X and mouse Y. And I think we just need to do the old ID indexing here and then also here. So for every touch, we need to scale those positions to the given touches mouse positions because it's not just one global anymore. Okay. Then if there is, all this is saying is like if you're clicking on the screen or touching on the screen, then mouse down is true. And we only update our D-pad, which is our D-pad holds all the touch detection objects. And we're saying, okay, well, if there's something being touched, then we're going to check each of those touches for collision and set each of those touches values to be pressed if they are pressed or false if they're not. And if there is no mouse down events, then everyone gets reset to false. Let's see. I'm hoping we get the detection. I'm not seeing any. So it has, our mouse X and Y is looking correct, but we're not detecting we're not registering or rendering the different touches. So something is going wrong either with, I don't know where it would be going wrong. We changed a lot of stuff. For every touch we have, we're going to go ahead and get the position from the ID of that touch. Save it into these globals, which I don't like, but then we're going to use those mouse X and Y to get a ID mouse X and Y. I guess, does it make sense that we could put the variable in here and say mouse X and Y gets placed into here, and then we're going to use that variable to go ahead and reassign using the function and then store it back in its location. I don't know if that works. Let's try to print up our touch table. So our D-pad table. Let's see if we can print that up and see if we can find anything wrong. Cause we're not getting the click detection rendering. So let's try to print up this table. Now we're gonna take our D-pad table and just see what it is, but I think we need to run the inspect if we want to see the actual values in it. So we're gonna print at the very top of our screen here, and we'll see. Okay. We don't have inspect in our main, really. We require our dependencies here. Love.graphics print inspect. Okay, this is weird because we've got our inspect in our dependencies, which we're requiring at the top of main. So dependencies, unless it's local, which I don't think it is. Inspect. What the heck? Where is our inspect? Oh my gosh, why do we do this? What? This isn't us. Inspect, where is that library? Libinspect, why is it here? Why is it here? Okay. I think we just need to require this. I don't like that we did this, but I don't think if we comment this out, I don't think it'll break anything. Famous last words, but we should be fine to just require inspect here. Really. Okay, let's add it. This is weird. I guess the documentation probably says something about this. But I'm gonna undo what we did here so we don't screw that up, because it looks like we need reference to it in whatever file we're doing. So in our case, I'm just gonna get inspect here so that we can look at this table. Okay, so the touches, a bunch of different stuff. I don't even know how many values it is, but let's go to our mouse X render. Where do we have to put this? Stop rendering this. Okay, so there's at least one. Like there shouldn't be any touches if we don't actually touch the screen, right? So it's a little confusing to me why it's saving anything. Save touches as get touches. What I'm really wanting to not happen is that I have to like abort this whole commit because we broke everything and we can't figure it out. So hopefully we can find this. Oh yeah, not D-pad, but we want touches, not D-pad. Okay. So nil, and it looks like still nil. Touches. Okay. Touches gets love.touch get touches. Looks like it's just an empty table. But every update, we're saving the touches into this table. Okay. Well, this is bad. Ideally, we're just able to see how our touches are stored. Because right now, I have no idea. I know they're at least in X and Y, because that's what we're pulling out of a get position. Love.touch, get touches. Let's look this up. What up, K-Tron? How's it going, dude? Yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling great, but feeling good enough to have camera on at least. Love.touch.get touches. That's what we're doing. Touches gets love.touch get touches. Table touches a list of active touch press ID values, which can be used with get position. So it's like, does it have to be used with get position? All it has is what we're doing, which is get the position. So let's try this. Let's try to just do this circle for each pair of touches and just see. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. This is what in update. We have to go. Let's do this in the render function. So let's do the same. For ID in pairs touches, go ahead and we need to pull the X and Y from the actual touch, which they do this get position ID. Okay. I'm not seeing anything. Okay, touches get touches. I think this must be screwing it up somewhere. Let's turn this off for right now. Now we're cycling through all our touches. We're taking the X and Y from the get position of each of those touches, and we're just trying to draw a circle at that X and Y location. We should see this, which I am not. This is in the render function, right? Yeah. Hey, thanks, Katron. Thanks. Yeah, it doesn't take much. I've been feeling awful. It's been going on like 10 days now. Okay, I mean, I just feel like we need to kind of redo a lot of this and just see. We need to just take it one step at a time and make sure we're getting what we're wanting to get. So at the very least, you know, we need to be able to pull our touches. So we're going to say touches gets love.touch get touches. So we should have a global touches variable holding all of our touches. Then when we render, let's just render literally anything and make sure nothing's hiding what we are going to put right here. We're going to say love.graphics, draw, test. At the top left, right? So we should see test here. Not draw, print. Okay, we see test. So anything we put here should be able to be readable. So let's try to put in, or we need to put in, basically we just want to draw anything at the touch location. So let's try doing this. Okay, so we cycle through all of our touches with the eye pairs. We take out the X and Y from the touch.get position. Now this ID we're passing in is the value of the touch. So like touches index 1, for example, has a value of ID. So we're giving that ID to pull out the X and Y, and then we're going to love.graphics circle fill at the X and Y of a 20 pixel wide circle. But we're still not seeing it. Now I think we could not be seeing it because the virtual resolution might be shifting it. I don't know. So let's Let's try to pull out. We might need to do, I think we have to do our, I'm curious if we switch back to the original resolution, which is tiny Game Boy size, right? We're going to say, and actually a scale factor of 1 would give us the tiny Game Boy resolution. Let's see if we see this circle here. I don't see it. Let's just print up what this Y is. So we're going to say X, and then concatenate to the X position. Let's see what X actually is on the touch if it doesn't crash. It doesn't even have it. Feeling like touches isn't even working. If we were to put this in a global variable and try to print this outside of the function, does it crash? No, it's just nil. See, look, X shouldn't be nil. It should get populated anytime we touch something. So we're screwing something up. Touches gets love.touch get touches. Yeah, the fact that this X is never getting changed means that there's probably no touches. Let's just see. I mean, that's what we were trying to see, right? Touches was nothing, because if we tried to print, we say touches, and what we want to print up is the table of touches itself. Then it's empty table. Touches is empty table, and it's never getting populated. So and we're doing this in the update function for main. Now we do it in main. It should work. Don't know why it's not populating. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna flush this, reset our get, and maybe we'll be able to test it better. Let's get this. Okay. So this mouse X and mouse Y is not being populated by the touches. Oh, okay. I think I know what's going on. Yeah. So touches is not a mouse click, right? Touches is touching on a touch device. So touches is empty because we're not actually touching. So it becomes really hard to test this without working on like an actual phone build. But we're able, it works on the phone build. The actual touches do, because let's do touches. So if we get touches, we get the position ID. We're overriding. Okay. This is weird. So part of me thinks that if we do this and have it work, like the idea is no one's going to be playing on desktop by clicking the D-pad with the mouse, right? They're gonna like if you choose to, I guess we can allow them, if they want to put the Game Boy overlay on to see it like a Game Boy, then when they do WASD, it'll be on the D-pad. But no one's gonna actually play by clicking the D-pad, because that's, you can't hit more than one side of the Game Boy. I don't know if there's a way to prevent mouse touches from actually doing anything on Game Boy. We just do it based on touches, not based on mouse position. So this is where it gets confusing, because I'm using mouse X and mouse Y interchangeably between the mouse positions, the love.mouse position and the love.touch position. And that's what's screwing me up. And that's why touches is an empty tables, because there's nothing actually being touched. So I think that does make sense. Now what's tricky is that we have to debug, or we have to try to code this without having touches being rendered to the screen and everything, so that gets weird. So let's for example, let's take off. If we take off the mouse get position, does it crash? Yeah. On push Lua, what? Why would it? Okay. I'm not sure what to try. Because what's weird is, yeah, if we change this, right now it's working. It's working with our mouse, because we say, okay, let's give us the mouse X and Y right here. And it works with our mouse. And it also works with our touches, because we're overriding the mouse X and Y with whatever touch we're getting. Because this is the global variable we're overriding. So it does kind of make sense to keep them global like this, in that sense that, like, hey, if it's not a touch device, go ahead and do it with the mouse position, so that we can test the collision and make sure everything's rendering properly. And then if we're touching, since we're overriding those variables anyway, everything else should be right just with the touches. But the thing we can't test is multiple clicks. We can't test if you're holding left on the D-pad and pressing A, that the D-pad will still be registered as being held down, because every time we have more than one touch, we're overriding this global variable to be the new position of the second touch or the last touch in the table. It's tough. Okay, let's walk through and see if we can logic our ways to working for multiple touches. At the end of the day, we need to we need to take these away from being global, so that we can hold a mouse and Y position for all the touches. But instead of doing that, let's just modify the ID right here. We're going to say that mouse X gets whatever this mouse X was. And then whenever we have multiple, you know, on the first pass of the first touch, we'll take whatever mouse X currently is, save it into the field mouse X for that touch. Because each touch get position ID will be a different X and Y for each touch. So we're going to say for every touch, update their mouse X and mouse Y. But then we also, this is tricky because I think we need to do this, you know, at the end of the day, we're cycling through all of our touch objects and we're running V collides on them. And collides is, see, here's that other error, is that we're checking it against the global mouse X. So let's substitute any mouse X with self.mouse X. So we check with its mouse X, the touch's mouse X, mouse Y. Okay, so now collides, and we aren't doing the update. Let's just take this out. Okay, we're doing the same collision, just not with the global variable, but the variable that we assign to each individual touch right here. So that's what we're doing for the collision detection. But then we also need to, this is translating the global mouse X and Y to, oh my gosh. I think we need to, yeah, we need to do all of this before we run the collide function. So we'll do that for every touch. We'll say, hey, the ID mouse X needs to now get updated, and the mouse Y needs to get updated by the virtual resolution of that given position. And then if that ID is nil, we set it to 0 so we don't crash trying to render something at a nil location. Oh my goodness, okay. ID.mouse. Okay, then we're gonna set its mouse X and its mouse Y to be multiplied by the scale factor, which is how I got it to work on different sized screens. So then we're going to say, okay, well, if mouse is down, and the thing is, I believe this works with touch as well, which threw me off. I thought mouse position and mouse click and mouse touch were kind of the same because of this, because we're only running collides if mouse is down, and we don't mouse down on a touch device. We would have a touch instead of a mouse down. So since this was rendering on my iPhone, I think I got clicks and touches intertwined, but we're cycling through all of our touch detection objects, and if it's mouse down or touched, then we're going to go ahead. We don't need to do this anymore because we took out updating. This is where we would put the global variable into, let's see what this was. Global variable goes into the self mouse X and Y, which we weren't even doing anything with anyway. So we took that off because we're not rendering anything at the self.mouse X and Y. All we're doing is saying rendering each one of those D-pads. So if I had to guess, I would say what we just did hopefully fixes our issue of only one thing rendering, but I need to test it on a touch device to see. So let's see if touches even work anymore. Oh, see, touches don't even work anymore on here. Now we do have the global mouse X and Y, and it looks to be right, but I think we need to do this. Let's see if we go to main. What we're not doing is updating. Where are we? Okay. This is for touches. And what we need to do is also, before, like, we took this stuff out. Yank. We do need to change this back to the globals as well, I think. So we say mouse X and Y gets updated to the virtual resolution translation. Then we check for nil, reset it to 0, and then we scale. And then we would run collision on the global mouse X and Y if we're on the phone and not on touch. So I'm hoping this shows up. Shit. I want to see the buttons. And I'm not. Okay, here's the buttons. Why, dude, what? Why would... Oh, we update. Okay, we update. Why would that work? Hold on, why would that work? Yeah, because look, we don't see the buttons now, but if we take... Oh god. Why would that work? We're modifying the touch objects by the global mouse X and Y. What the fuck? So if we turn this off, the buttons don't work. Yeah. But it works once that's on because V collides. Now this is what is really weird is... Yeah, we do modify... Okay. So this should work. Because before here, what we did was we were just putting in the global mouse X and Y right here. But now we update it and then... Okay. So this might work for touches. I'm going to have to see if we can get it working on the phone. So I need to pull a cord real quick. Alright, I'm going to try to test the touch detection on a build, but in order to do that, I need to commit and push and pull, then build, and then test on the touch device, so it's going to be a mess. What's good is the build process doesn't take very long, because what I build is like the Love2d engine. So all I need to do is drag and drop the .love that I compile onto my phone and then test it. So Try it here. I can't share what's on my phone screen, so it might be a little boring to watch. What's cool is like the whole build is like 3 megabytes right now, which is pretty sweet. Okay, let's test it. We crash. Main 109, attempt to index local ID. And it doesn't full screen either, which is kind of weird. Oh, I guess that makes sense. I took off full screen. Let's take full screen back on and then see. Let me just rebuild this. Yeah, and you know what? Let me I'll plug in so that I can share the Mac screen here, because I think it's potentially interesting. Here, I will plug this in. This might not work. Let's see. Full screen it. We're gonna remove our last build and we're gonna make a new build called mobilebuttons.love. Now this is all we have to do is take this mobilebuttons.love, drag and drop it into our love folder, and then it's on our phone here. Main 109, attempt to index local ID, a user data value. Okay, main 109. Okay. Okay, no, I think I know where I'm going wrong with this. Yeah, I'm not at the skill level of working with shaders just yet, but I can imagine it being really frustrating because I mean, I'm seeing it now where it's hard to test because I'm not on a mobile touch device, so it's really tough to kind of debug this stuff. But the issue here is that touches doesn't have an ID, but our D-pad index does. Oh, see, yeah, dude, that is a bummer. If it, because ideally you just get it to work and then it just works, right? Instead of everything breaking, migrating. Yeah, so I think what we need to do here is not go through all of our touches, but go through, well, cycle through our touches, but we need to go not into the ID, but into the D-pad at index I.mousex. Jeez. Okay. Okay. And then this is for mouse detection. So let's try this and see if we crash, because it was right in crashing. That means we did have a non-empty touches table. I think it would make sense to maybe start to print our touches table onto screen so that we can see what that touches object looks like on mobile, because it's just an empty table here on PC. So let's do, we'll do the inspect here to look at our touches table. We'll say touches okay, let's go here. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've heard of Vulkan, but I've never used it for sure. But yeah, I'm libinspect. I would like software to be cross-compatible, you know. That's one reason I picked this game engine, is because it works on Mac, Linux, Windows, and Android and iOS. Okay. Yeah, let's put our touches down lower. Okay. Okay. Let's try this build. Let's see. All right. Okay, this is still the wrong build because I'm not seeing the touch table. Excuse me. Let's make sure. I don't know if something might be cached because we named it the same thing, but let's just try to rename it something different. What the heck? It's still the other build. I'm not seeing the table that we added. Did we? Wow. Did we not push? Yeah, we pushed. Okay. Okay, well, that was the issue. Okay. All right, here we go. It's working. Okay, well, the multiple buttons aren't working. The touch detection is working where it should. So, like, it's highlighting the right touches. But I think it's still based off, and we are actually seeing the touches table, although it doesn't have useful info in there. But ideally, yeah, we want multiple buttons. Let me try. I'm gonna put us back into full screen mode and see if we can see anything unique. And then instead of if we go into our main, we'll say this is full screen. And then when we print our touches, let's not print the touches table. Let's print the value of the first touch. Like, I don't know what values are in there, but let's remove our mobile. Okay. So we're gonna zip it as mobile love. I'm gonna put it right there and test it. Okay. It just says user data 1 for that touch at index 1, but it is working. Okay. So our multiple... Okay. Yeah, I feel like maybe if we... Because when I touch another location, it gives me the current new touch X and Y, and then when I let go, it goes back to the first touch, that the only other touch that is held. So we need to make sure that we're able to register multiple inputs at the same time, because right now our global mouse X and Y is changing. So let me see. Okay, let's see here. Okay. See, I feel like right here we're saying get the position, store it in, well, mouse X. As long as the collision detection is based on the dot X and the dot Y, I feel like we shouldn't have an issue here. But then again, oh no, yeah, we do. This is where it messes up. Let's do this. We'll put in not the global variable, because then we're updating. Well, on the first touch, we would put in the current. No, yeah, this shouldn't matter. Let's take a look at the render. Okay, the render, if we're pressed, we render at whatever the self X and Y is. Okay. Okay, I want to say if we turn this off, maybe it'll fix some of our problems for mobile. I think it would break on desktop here, like if we were to try to run this. Oh, it still runs. Okay. It doesn't render the buttons, but let's try to build this real quick and see. See, it's the global variables that are screwing us. Okay, I'm not getting the touch, the highlighting working anymore. Okay. Oops. Oh, you know what? We do need this. We need this regardless. Because the thing is, the only thing that is triggering the render is whether or not it's pressed. And whether or not it's pressed is triggered whether or not that a given touch is colliding. Let's take a look at that, because if let's walk this through. Let's imagine we're pressing the left D-pad and the A button. We're cycling through first the left D-pad button. It is mouse down, so we're going to go ahead and update. And that gives us, I think right now that doesn't give us much. I think it just takes, see, I don't like that. It takes in a global mouse X to a mouse Y. So let's not do that. Instead of updating, we already updated the dot mouse X and the dot mouse Y. So in our touch detection, we're checking against the self dot mouse X and self dot mouse Y. So we shouldn't need to update. But then again, it crashed. It didn't render on desktop. It didn't render the different buttons there. So if the left D-pad collides with what? If it just collides, we just run collides. This has got to be where it's fucked up. We're checking the self.x, which is the position of the touch detection object, versus the mouse X in that object that we stored. anytime touch is updated. So if it collides with any of the touches, we cycle through, then become pressed. Now, if it's pressed, it'll cycle through to the next one. Okay, and then it should render. Let's test this. Let's test this and see. This is weird. I'm only getting one button to register the render. But, wow, this is weird. Oh, and you know what? Well, this might be it. Well, because I'm able to, you can't see, I'm able to touch the top left, and it renders the button as if it's a touch, but then I touch the A button, and it still knows that I'm touching the left touch, which is touch 1, which is what... Yeah, so I think we might need to just make sure we're rendering all the touch objects, but this allows a secondary touch to not overwrite this render. And I'm seeing that the mouse X and Y is being updated, so it is knowing the values of my second touch, but it's also still rendering the first touch because I'm holding it down. So that is getting closer. Let's try to dig and see why only one is rendering, only one touch is rendering, only the first touch detection object is rendering. So if it's pressed, now it's either only one is becoming pressed. If it collides, I don't see why it would only render one. When we render our touch, this is gross. I need to delete all that. Yeah. This is weird. We only render... Okay. Well, in our touch detection render, we only render it if it's pressed. So where are we saying becomes pressed? Right here, when we cycle through all of our D-pad objects, then we test for collision. Now, when we test for collision, this isn't... Okay, so maybe our mouse X and mouse Y is only being stored for the first variable. Well, we're supposed to store it for every one of them. For eye and touches, yeah. Why would only the first index of our D-pad be rendering a dot pressed? We could print up the pressed field of all of our buttons, and maybe that could help us. Let's try to do that. Let's print up, let's go through all of our D-pad. See, D-pad index I, because we're cycling through I here. Okay, yeah, let's print up. We'll go to our render function and we will print up we will cycle through all of our D-pad objects. And we will print I want to print the that's okay. The index K. What the we want to print not the V but the V dot pressed. Let's try this. We're only getting true on pressing the first D-pad button. This is weird. But this is like the first D-pad button is working right. That's working right. It's close. It's close. I'd feel much worse if we didn't get this far today, but we are receiving another input from another touch while still receiving and rendering the correct response from a touch. Okay, this is weird. If we go the other way around and hold the A button and then hit the top left button, it doesn't register the touch. Jeez, man. Oh. What the fuck? Okay, the weirdest thing is happening right now. If I don't hold any other button, only the first quadrant top left D-pad is rendering. Is there a way to screen share my phone onto Zoom here? Or onto Twitch? Is there a way to do that? Is there a screen mirror for my phone? I'll see if I can figure that out. Let me see. I'm gonna Google real quick, see if I can figure that out. How do I do that? AirPlay. I can't figure it out. This is so weird. Okay. What the... It is really jacked up. But basically, I'm getting the other buttons to register sometimes. If I touch like 5 different touches on screen and then touch, this is weird, man. Oh, God. Okay. I'm going to have to think long and hard about this, but basically what's happening is if I don't touch anything but the top left button, it renders fine, and then I can touch to the right of it and it still knows I'm touching the top left as well, so it renders it fine. Then if I touch just the right side of the screen, then that first button doesn't render anymore, but the second button does. And if I hold two touches on the right side, then the third button is the only one that renders. So there's something going on there where it's only updating the number of... I think it's in that line where we're doing the index of I, but I don't exactly know. I want to say the index of I is what's getting screwed here. Oh, you know what? This is weird because, well, no, this would overwrite the mouse X and Y to be whatever the touch position ID is. Okay. Then we go into that index of our touch detection object and save the mouse and X we got from the touch position into the objects field for X and Y. And then we reassign the X and Y to be scaled to our virtual resolution. We nullify it to 0 if it's nil. Then we scale it by our scale factor. But then our mouse and Y here. Okay, so I think we might need to do this based on get position, because I think the touch is messing up this part, which is overriding. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see if that changes anything with the weirdness, and then we'll see. Yeah, I'm not working. I mean, it's the same issue. That is so strange. Okay. Well, we tried. We got somewhere, like... Yeah, that's wrong. We got somewhere. Let me see if we... If I try this current build of our last commit, if it has the same error that we're trying to fix. Okay. This is really weird. Okay. It's hard to it's hard to program this kind of stuff because I can't test it till I get it on the phone to test how the touches are actually working. But I'm going to think long and hard about the proper way to kind of think about this so that it'll work. Hopefully, like in a perfect world, I would be able to treat my mouse click as if it were a touch and then just export it. It's just that the multiple touches are hard to debug for. So I'll do some thinking and I'll try to figure out how to tackle this so that we can move on and just know that it's going to work on phone. After we do this, after the touches are being registered correctly, we're going to have to rehaul our entire input handling system because right now the input handling system is working on key presses, but it needs to be handled on inputs. We want to basically say, instead of if W is held, go walk up, we need to say if the walk up thing is held, do the walk up thing. So we need to rehaul the total input system, which we are getting some bugs. So I think we do need to tackle refactoring that at some point. That'll be next after we get the buttons working, and then it'll be working not only on phone, but I found a new tool that can build onto mobile. Maybe I can show how that works. Let's see if we can do it. It's called Love.js, and all you've got to do is take your .love, and if you put it in the folder here, and then you run Love.js, you give it the name of the .love, and then the name of the folder, taxi. We can call this Tashio. Now it made this test build folder that has an HTML file that's supposed to run in the browser here, but it also needs the .love file. So we say boom in there, and now when we load this, it's not working. Yeah. Well. All right. Well, I was able to get this working at some point. I'll have to do some more testing, but then we can have a spot on the website where people can come and play the current build of the game, which would be cool. So people watching can try it in their browser right away. That would be kind of cool. So that's on the docket coming up too. But I'm gonna call it a night. I'll try to figure out how to fix that touch stuff for multiple inputs. And for now, we'll raid out. I like Basie, so we're gonna raid out to Basie, fellow team member. But thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, thanks for hanging, Katron. I am feeling better. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully we can get the multiple touches working and then move on, because this isn't stuff I'm passionate about. I just want it to work on the phone so I can carry it in my pocket, right? So it'll be worth it once it all works.